Okay, am I up? Can you hear me? I might move my mic a bit closer. Can you hear me? Hello and welcome. I can see I got one person watching and one like. So this is my second proper live stream ever. And today I am going to be talking about my favorite books of all time. I even wrote a list, as you can see. Hi there. Hi there. Can you hear me? Will you write a comment if you can hear me? Okay, so I actually had some questions from my last live stream that I was going to answer, but I've left my phone on the other side of the room. But what can you do? So starting off, I think we'll start at number 10 and work our way up that way instead of starting at number 1. Right, brilliant, you can hear me, this is good. So in 10th place, we have the Eleanor of Aquitaine series by Alison Weir. All 3 books, I kind of joined them into just like one big book because it is a series and it's just really good. I like it because it tells like a really long story, and I prefer long storytelling, I think, overall, especially in historical fiction. I don't mind short storytelling, but I think it kind of tends to speed up people's lives, and it doesn't always work. You know, lots of people have very, very interesting lives. I would love to see that format carried out over different people. I think Elizabeth Chadwick is doing a series about Joan of Kent, the wife of the Black Prince, at present, and I think that's going to be a 3-book series, I believe. So I'm looking forward to reading that, and I just prefer those. And then Blood and Beauty by more details in the books is better. I know more details is better, but I think a 3-book narrative works very well. I know Blood and Beauty by Sarah Dunant, and she did a 2-book series about the Borgias, but I really thought it would be 3 books to cover kind of the fall of Cesare, and it wasn't. So I do prefer 3-book narratives, right? And then in 9th place, we have an old classic. We have Gone with the Wind. And I know that might be a bit controversial, but it's just such a good story. And I get Scarlett. I like her. She's horrible, but I like her. I understand the character very well. I was talking to someone at work a while ago because we were talking about books, and I was like, oh, what's your favorite book? And she's like, I really like Gone with the Wind. And I was like, me too. So we were talking about that, and hey, yeah. Psych creation. We're talking about Gone with the Wind, and she didn't like Scarlett at all. She really liked Melanie, and I was like, oh, I don't overly like Melanie. Like, I really, really like Scarlett. So we're just talking about that, and I read it during COVID, and of course, because it's such a long book, it took me a while to read. So I think reading it during lockdown was probably the best thing to do. Hello, Swampy Main. Psycho, may I know where you are from? I am from Northern Ireland, but I was brought up in Spain. Scarlett is 403. Yeah. I didn't overly like the movie, if I'm honest. I like Vivian Leigh and Scarlett O'Hara, but I always think about what the author said, that she was too pretty to play Scarlett. That always kind of sticks with me. Oh, thank you for giving me a like. This is weird. Last time I did this, I didn't have the camera facing me, so I'm not used to seeing the comments like pop up under the screen, but it's fun. So yeah, Gone with the Wind is up there. I also love Rhett Butler so much. Like, he's just so good. You know, actually, I've got the cassette copy I bought in a charity shop not that long ago. It's like the 50th anniversary version, and I've got both of them. It's not opened, and then I have a Frankly, My Dear, I Don't Give a Damn printed out, and I'm gonna get it framed. And my whole idea is, like, when I get space at some point, I want to put them up together and have a little collection. And then in 8th place, I've got Wicked, right? And I know it's like a teen book, but when I first read it, I really, really, really enjoyed it. And then I reread it a few years ago just because I could. Oh, you just came on, we don't know what's going on. I'm talking about my top 10 favorite books, and we are now on number 8. So yeah, Wicked. I really liked it. I liked the kind of different dynamic that was going on in The Wizard of Oz. It gave it more detail, and I know it's not canon, but I still really liked it. I'm actually going to go see the musical this summer, which I've never seen, and I don't know, because I know it's very different to the books, because the books can be, that book is quite dark, and it gets quite dark in certain segments, especially, and I know it can be like a little bit sexy. I think that's why I liked it when I was a teenager, and I actually borrowed it from the school library and never gave it back. I tried reading Son of a Witch, and I didn't like it at all. I didn't think it was very good, but I did really like Elphaba in the book, and I'm not too fussed on Glinda, but I did like the whole Shell and like her this dynamic with her sister not having any arms. I thought that was really good, and I don't know how they're going to do that on stage, or if they will. Free books, right? And then so Wicked, yes, Wicked. I don't know, I just liked it. And I mean, everyone likes The Wizard of Oz, right? And I like how in Wicked, Dorothy is the bad guy. And I liked how magic and science kind of tied together in that universe, and how, spoilers if anyone who doesn't know, how the wizard could have been Elphaba's father and stuff. I just enjoyed all of that. I'm going to drink some water. In 7th place, we have Wild Swans. If anybody hasn't read it, go and read it. It's about the lives of a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter in China during, well, before and then during the Communist Revolution. And it's so good. My mum read it, my stepdad read it. Actually, most people like in my family have read it, and everyone has very different opinions of it. My stepdad thought it was way too long, and I kind of get where he's coming from in certain aspects of it. You know, she does talk an awful lot about food in that book, that, you know, food that doesn't need to be talked about, like fried crispy ducklings, and my brother spent ages catching a pigeon so I could eat it. But it's very good, and it's history that you don't normally hear, because it's kind of, you know, middle class people in China, and it's just very good. She's written some other books as well. She wrote a book about the Dowager Empress Cersei, and that was really, really good. And then her book about Mao was again very good. And then Little Sister, Big Sister, Red Sister, which I read during lockdown, was also really good. You can please suggest me the best book for manifestation. I don't know. I'm not really into manifestation. I just kind of live life. I don't believe in manifesting things. You know, if you want it, go and get it. You know? And then in 6th place, I got into this because I was watching an old TV show with my parents, again, during lockdown. The Jewel and the Crown series, about kind of the fall of the British Empire in India, and that is really good. I think there's 4 books in the series, and it's a TV show as well that was made by, yeah, Light Fiction. I also like autobiographies and stuff as well. But the Jewel and the Crown series is pretty fictional, but it kind of focuses on events that would have happened during that time. And it was made by Granada Studios, which I believe burnt down in the 1980s. So that's fun. And it's got Charles Dance in it. He plays one of the main guys. And even though every book kind of follows a different situation, there are characters that run through the whole series again and again. So that's really good. And the villain in it is just brilliant. And I just loved Daphne Manners. I felt really sorry for her, everything that befell her. It wasn't her fault, you know? She just, you know, happened to fall in love with someone. So that was really good. I would recommend that to anybody. They're hard to get hold of though, and I think only one of the books is available on Audible. But if you are interested in India, and I think especially like in India after the British Empire left, it's very good. And if you like history and fiction, historical fiction, I would recommend it. I think it's quite old now, so probably not a lot of people have heard of it, but it's worth reading. And then in 6th place, we've got Angela's Ashes. I actually watched the movie before I read the book, and I really enjoyed the movie. I think it was on like Channel 4 or something when I was around 11, and I just thought it was so powerful. And I know books are never like are always better than the movie, and the book definitely was. I think I read it over a summer when I was about 15 because it is quite like chunky. And I remember just there's so much more in the book than the movie, and it's so horrific. And I know a lot of people say that like Frank McCourt lied. Best, we'll get up to best fiction in a minute. Don't worry. And I know a lot of people say that Frank McCourt lied in his like storytelling and his life wasn't that bad, but I don't care if it was that bad or not. I still really enjoyed it. It was a really good book, in my opinion. Not everyone's probably, but in mine. And again, like if you're from Ireland or maybe of Irish descent, it's very, very interesting, you know. And I simply liked it. And he's got a real way with words, making you feel super hungry and super annoyed at his parents. And then in 6th place, I've actually reviewed this book on my channel. If anybody wants to go and watch my review, it's a 2-parter. And it's the most popular one on my polygamist playlist. So we've got The Witness Wore Red, and that is by Rebecca Musser, and it's just one of those books that blows you away. If you know anything about the FLDS, it's just her life story and her helping people during the Texas raid. It's 100% worth the read. I know she was in Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, the documentary on Netflix as well, but she does a whole bit in, I think it's the intro of the book, where she explains she doesn't want to over exaggerate anything, but she also doesn't want to lie or under exaggerate. So she tries to be very, very, very honest. Thank you for liking my review. And she tries to be very honest because there definitely are books out there about the FLDS lifestyle and about what happens in their community that are over exaggerated. I have definitely read some and just known from the offset, like, this is so over the top, or especially if you read a lot of the stuff, you're like, this is just way out there and you can't read them. I think one of the books, I don't really want to name names, but one of the books that's like that is Church of Lies, which you can get on Audible, and I think I got 2 chapters in and had to put that down because it was just too brutal to read, you know? All this talking is thirsty work, but I would definitely recommend The Witness Wore Red. I think it's one of the better autobiographies to come out of the FLDS community. I've read a lot of them as well. It's definitely better than her sister's book, Elisa Wall's book. I think Rebecca, because she was older, going through everything that happened, is a much clearer picture of right and wrong with her parents and what was done well and what wasn't done well. And then of course she was married to the prophet, so you've got all of that on top. And then because she left and was more so on her own, I feel, because she left before Elisa and then helped Elisa leave, it definitely is a lot better reading. It's harder reading, but it's definitely very, very good. And then she, of course, went on to help at the Texas raid, and that's all covered in the book, not covered in Elisa's book. And I would recommend it. And if you're interested, you can go and find the review of that book on my channel. It's also, I think I listened to it on Audible, and it's on there as well for anybody who doesn't actually, want to sit down and read. If you're doing other things, it's perfect for that. Moving along, in 3rd place. Oh, we got a question. Hey. Yeah, you have to go to sleep. Okay, well, in 3rd place, we have The Other Boleyn Girl. And I know that's probably cheesy and a bit over the top because I know it's not real history, it's a bit over exaggerated, but I read it when I was, I think, 15, 16, and it is the book that made me fall in love with historical fiction completely and utterly. I think I finished it in a week, and I couldn't put it down. It made me fall in love with the whole genre. And to be honest, it's probably the book I've read most in my entire life because I reread it over and over and over. And I know it's a bit of a bodice ripper, but I just adored it when I was 16. And I think when you fall in love with something at that sort of age, you continue to love it for the rest of your life. The movie was utterly terrible. I can't stress enough how bad the movie was and how disappointed I was by the movie. I remember I was so excited and I actually downloaded it on torrents, and I remember I was at my stepdad's garage and I kept the computer on all night. I turned off the screen, but I kept the computer on so it would like download, so it'd be ready for when I got to the garage after school. And I remember sitting and I was like, I'm gonna watch this. And I remember just being so disappointed. I particularly remember the scene where Anne's coming back from France in the movie and she's like galloping on that horse and it's Natalie Portman. And I remember I actually paused the movie and I was like, this is so bad. This is so bad. So, but the book's so good. And then I read The Boleyn Inheritance, and then I think I read The Constant Princess, and then I think I read The Queen's Fool. And of course I've read all of Philippa Gregory's books, even the latest ones, which were terrible. But her Tudor series was very good, and I really, really liked the Cousins War series. Okay, good night. Sight Creations, sleep well. But again, I think she's lost it. I think when authors churn out a book every year, sometimes the quality dips a lot, and you can see it. Well, I think I can see it, and I think lots of other people do as well. So I think not Elizabeth Chadwick, Philippa Gregory has slightly lost her style, and it's become much more generic. But the other brilliant girl was so good, and from her I got introduced to Elizabeth Chadwick, Sarah Dunant, Alison Weir, all the other really big historical fiction names from that sort of era. I know there's a woman, she's called Barbara something, and my aunt tried to get me into her, and she bought me a couple of her books because she knew I liked historical fiction. She liked historical fiction. She'd got me into Elizabeth Chadwick. She bought me a couple of those books, and it was like a time jump book where it was like the same person's soul split, and I just could not read them. I thought they were so bad. I can't even remember the woman's last name. I think I gave the books away because I tried reading both of them and they were just not my thing. And I ended up giving them to my friend, and she really enjoyed them, but you know, that was her thing, not my thing. Okay, in second place, over my name, I will be back in your next live. Cool. Thank you. I might try and do another live. Actually, I can't do one next Sunday because we're going to a wedding. So this will have to be my live for a wee while yet. Okay, so in second place, I will drink some water and you guys can have a think about what it might be. Any guesses what is in second place? Will I give you a hint? Neeny, neeny, neeny. It's Jaws. In second place, it's Jaws. I love Jaws. I just love sharks in general. I've always loved sharks since I was like itty bitty. But Jaws was one of my dad's favorite books, and he finally got me to read it when I was about 15, and I really enjoyed the style of it. I know it's a super macho book, right? I know that. I know it's not maybe the most girly book, but I do enjoy that sort of masculine style of writing, and I really enjoyed the shark POVs. And some of the gore scenes in Jaws, the book, are quite overpowering. Like the bit where the guy's in the cage and the shark's eating him, and you can see it, and I really enjoyed it. And you're like, yeah, eat him, because he like had sex with the sheriff's wife, and you're like do it. And I do love a bit of blood and guts and gore. I really like horror movies, especially slashers. So I just really like Jaws. I like sharks. And honestly, I really like the movie too. I had, of course, seen the movie before I read the book, but hey ho, you know, they're very different, but they're both very good. They're their own things. You know what I've found hard is to get other books written by the guy who wrote Jaws. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I would really like to read some of his other stuff. I know he has done like very similar books in the same vein that are like crocodile style and things, like a crocodile eating people, because I've looked them up and I know there's like other shark books he wrote, but I definitely would like to try and get some, but they're hard to find. And then in first place, does anybody want to guess what's in first place? Anybody? In first place, it is the one and only Jurassic Park. Yes, I like sharks and I like dinosaurs, but Jurassic Park, I love so much. The book, I just love the book. So I first read the book when I was 11, and I liked it so much. I think I read it 3 times in one summer. I had never read anything like it. Again, it's in that kind of masculine style that I enjoy reading. I recently read No Country for Old Men, and I thought that was also in a very masculine style. And a good question, is a book called The Lost World? I don't know, I've always just called it Jurassic Park, and I think the copy I had was called Jurassic Park. Maybe Jurassic Park The Lost World. I know there is a second book which might be called The Lost World, which I've also read, which again is very good. And again, I had never read anything really like Jurassic Park at that age of 11, and I found it so gruesome. I just loved it. It weirdly like spoke to me. Does that make sense? Some of the scenes, the scene where they're in the waterfall in the book, right? The 2 kids are in the waterfall and the T-Rex is outside the waterfall and they know it's there, and its tongue comes into the waterfall. And I know this is so unrealistic and never would happen with like real dinosaurs, but its tongue comes in to the waterfall and wraps itself around the boy's head and starts pulling him forward towards the waterfall to eat him. I remember every single time I read that book, that scene gets me. I'm just like, oh my god, it's gonna get him, it's gonna get him. And I was so annoyed when I finally watched the movie that that scene in particular wasn't in it, because I found that so horrifying. And I know like the movie was meant to be family friendly, but that scene was just so good. Yeah, the sequel's called The Lost World. And the other scene I really liked was the scene in the hospital with the dinosaur and with little dinosaurs and the baby, because that is also horrific. And then there's also the scene where the dinosaur eats the little girl's arm. But I mean, that's kind of in the movie, but not the way it is in the book. If anybody's read Jurassic Park, do you have any ideas like of scenes they could have added? I think John Hammond should have died the way he died in the book. That's just me though. I did enjoy Jurassic Park, the first movie. You can kind of watch it without being like too annoyed that they got stuff different from the books. But the second movie is so bad, and the third movie is so bad. With the velociraptors talking to him on the plane. And then I did really enjoy Jurassic World. I actually went to the cinema to see that twice because I liked it so much. And I've only ever done that one other time with The Hobbit. So that was a thing. But the Jurassic World movies since the first one have just gone like, woo, downhill really quickly. really, really quickly, but I do enjoy the games. However, the second game, I got stuck on a particular island and I had to restart it like 3 times. And now I've just given up and haven't played it in like a year. Because I think some of you might have watched me play it because I was like playing it on live for a while. But I could not get past that island and I didn't have the patience to get past that island because I completed the first game. Again, I got stuck on an island and then I ended up completing it during lockdown. And I think I need like another lockdown, or I need to get COVID again or something, so I'm off work, so I have nothing to do. So I just play that game. Because that's what you do, right? When you're like sick and stuff, you just stay at home and play games. But that is my list of my top 10 favorite books. I will read them out in order again. And then we will finish up this live. So, in 10th place, we have the Eleanor of Aquitaine series by Elizabeth Chadwick. In 9th place, we have Gone with the Wind. You know, we all love Scarlett O'Hara. In 8th place, we have Wicked, Go Elphaba. In 7th place, we have Wild Swans. In 6th place, we have the Jewel in the Crown series. In 5th place, we have Angela's Ashes. In 4th place, we have The Witness Were Red. If anyone's interested, the review's on my channel. In 3rd place, we have The Other Berlin Girl. I also talk about the movie on my channel, so you can watch that somewhere. In 2nd place, we have Jaws, Who Doesn't Like a Big Fish? And in 1st place, we have Jurassic Park. So that is my list of my top 10 favorite books of all time. If anybody has any questions, just leave them down in the comments and I'll try to reply to you. And if anybody out there would like to suggest a book for me to read or review, please just let me know. You can leave a comment on one of my videos or on here. Also subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week and I recently started doing lives and I quite enjoy them. So that's the thing. And I've been reviewing all the House of the Dragon content, so you can watch that. Oh yes, I need to do an Uncanny by Danny Robbins review, but I think I'm going to do that and save it for Halloween. So I think I'll read it and then review it and put it out in October because, you know, get my spook on. But okay, like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, bye! Oh, it didn't turn off. Cancel. Oh, thank you.